Podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network. kingofpodcasts.com.
So this is how you do a go-home show for Wrestlepalooza?
I'm a Puerto Rican from New Jersey. Sometimes I shank a chick.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it. Because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence. The King of Podcasts radio network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
I want to shout out to Joe Negron Wiggly, the show that I used to listen to when I was becoming an aspiring wrestling podcaster, smart wrestling fan. And if I'm correct, I believe that show still continues today. Well, at the time, I remember listening for a number of years when Joe Negron was co-hosting with Dishband. And one of the things you always heard on Smart Wrestling Fan, if you listen to the show still now or before, in the recaps they would have for matches, it was always, when they were just looking at a generic match that was just being a match, it was, you don't cover the moves, it's just match, match, match. Match, match, match. I don't know what that memory came back for, but it was the perfect thing for me to go ahead and add into the title of this week's show. As we prepare for Wrestlepalooza this weekend. Now, I covered a lot of ground, so I didn't have to go too long on tonight's show. I mean, probably go the hour if we're going to go anywhere with this, because so much has been going on in wrestling anyway, with the counter-programming with Wrestlepalooza and all this year. Okay. And then you have All Out basically missing all of the major issues altogether of the counter-programming. It looks like they're going to come out of it okay. Now, I make this point that if you're looking at what is currently on the schedule for college football this weekend, I've talked about this. The scenario that Wrestlepalooza is putting itself in, because of the fact that they're going to be going head-to-head now up against college football this Saturday night. Now, as for the games that AEW is going to have to go ahead and worry about, that'll be up against at the same time as the pre-show that are going to have, the Brawl, and All Out itself. Let's say go from 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. They'll do with what? Oregon State versus Oregon, Purdue Notre Dame, Michigan versus Nebraska, Auburn versus Oklahoma. Those are the games you're going to have in the middle of the afternoon that will encompass what the college football lineup is. But then you have at night Florida versus Miami and a big matchup on ABC. NBC will be carrying Illinois, Indiana, which a lot is being put into that game. These are two games that are expected to be high-scoring affairs, by the way. If you're a betting man, you're going to realize they're going to be high-scoring affairs. South Carolina, Missouri, that's your feature SEC game. Those kind of games right there are going to take some audience away. And I'm just telling you, it's something where, for ESPN, they have games they're going to be covering. And for anyone that thinks that the direct-to-consumer app is going to really do something of a big difference on this here, I don't know. But we can figure it out. ESPN had a media call today to discuss Wrestlepalooza and lead everybody up into what they're going to be doing with said programming coming up. Now, we're going to talk about that. We'll do some preview predictions for both Wrestlepalooza and All Out coming up a little later on. But then also going to go and break down the AJ Lee, CM Punk, Seth Rollins Becky Lynch segment, the go-home promo leading up to Wrestlepalooza, and the mixed tag match coming up. And I'm just saying, it's 21 minutes of improv. And not good improv either. And what I mean by improv, that's where comedians used to be back in the day, but say if you used to watch Saturday Night Live, or you still do now. There is a method as to how some of these comedians were able to go and become good at using scripts or doing storylines or just whatever they were doing to do Saturday Night Live, to do sketches. Well, they had to go be part of a comedy troupe for the most part. You normally see comedians that would just be standalone out on the road doing your traditional stand-up. No, you'd have actually some groups that are out there that would represent comedy troupes. And that would be the representation of what people will go and find. National Lampoon, Kids in the Hall, Monty Python's Flying Circus. So there's some ideas like that. The Groundlings, Second City. Those are the kind of comedy troupes that were out there that you would recruit most of the talent that would be on these type of shows from. And they knew how to improvise. Think of the show Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's basically what WWE is doing right now, is they're forcing talent that is very competent and very accomplished. A lot of veteran talent. They're all being left out there to go and do Whose Line Is It Anyway? They get some kind of scenario, very little storyline to work off of because there's not been any storyline to work with. It'd be one thing if these stars were able to go and have a storyline they could really work off of, but they're not. They're improvising on the fly out there, and they're given a lot of time to do that. And you can tell there's not much structure behind what they're doing. They're not stuck to a particular structure as to how much time they have for a segment because they're on Netflix. With WWE right now, their current programming, it's really easy for them to go and just structure. I mean, they're not doing 7-minute matches. They're doing 15, 20-minute matches anyway. Match. So the improv, you just got to figure out, well, let's get it close to around the time we need to get it. Because with Netflix, it doesn't matter really when you have the actual commercial break. And then anything that you do with the live programming also, you're just like, well, if we need to trim a match a little bit here, something a little bit there, but the segments kind of like just stay the same. There's no such thing as like, cutting out a match or cutting a segment short. Like, they're not doing that either because of the way the format is structured right now for these shows. It's so wide open. And there's so little that they're doing on all these shows and just stretching out the time. That's all they're doing right now. So let's get into the actual media call that was going on. This is a courtesy of Fightful for putting this out there. ESPN executives talking WWE counter programming, AEW Brock Lesnar while returning while mentioned in the lawsuit. There's a lot that they can cover. And just so you know, the people that he spoke with that were taking questions from the wrestling press and mainstream press itself were Matt Kenny, ESPN Vice President of Programming and Acquisitions, and JT Lasker, Senior Vice President of ESPN Plus. So to get this all started, let's go into this part. It's the inaugural media conference call that was done between WWE and ESPN to promote Wrestlepalooza coming up this Saturday. The first such joint call is part of a new 5-year partnership between WWE and ESPN. Now, Matt Kenny leads ESPN's programming and acquisitions for categories including pro basketball, combat sports, and professional lacrosse. Lasker oversees overall growth strategy and general management of ESPN Plus. So they covered a lot of topics. Now, some of the things they brought up in here is that the deal was originally supposed to begin in 2026, but moved up to start with Wrestlepalooza. Kenny explained that ESPN had zero contact with Peacock, the streaming partner for WWE beforehand, during negotiations, and emphasized the mutual excitement to launch early. Lasker noted the partnership includes a minimum threshold of PLEs that must be simulcast on ESPN's new direct-to-consumer service and linear TV channels, aiming to maximize exposure. This is all from Fightful.com, by the way. That all transcribed this. Now, ESPN specifically requested the September 20th date for Wrestlepalooza, but Kenny clarified that the choice had less to do with counter-programming AEW and more to do with creating a mega event opportunity, though he acknowledged the competitive landscape. So Matt Kenny is now going to take the onus for the September 20th date and the counter-programming. ESPN is going to take the fall for it? That doesn't make sense to me. So let's take some comments that were made from Matt and JT in this call. Again, this is from Fightful Wrestling on their YouTube channel. They put this out there, so I want to give proper credit. And Sean Ross have asked questions of both of them.
Guys, thanks for doing this. We've seen in the past WWE has counter-programmed their competition quite a bit. How did that weigh into the decision to run Wrestlepalooza this weekend, or did it? And do you all foresee that happening more in the future, or do you all kind of want more of an uninterrupted wrestling market and audience to appeal to?
For us, we work collaboratively with the WWE on the schedule. In this particular case, many of their events had already been scheduled. Normally, in these types of arrangements, and so my team and I work on the NBA. We also handle UFC. There's really a lengthy process where you work with the partner to identify specific dates. You build out your schedule, so you align in that regard. And so on some level, WWE scheduled throughout the rest of the years. Throughout the rest of 2025, there had been a number of dates already on the calendar. And in this particular case, we were just laser focused on launching WWE. We knew we wanted to have a marquee WWE event in September to support the launch of ESPN's direct-to-consumer offering, as JT mentioned before. So it really had less to do with any particular wrestling competition. In fact, we take a holistic view. We know there's competition everywhere, and certainly in the fall on Saturdays. I don't need to explain to this group, there's no shortage of college football competition throughout the day, right? And we're in the teeth of the football season now. So we welcome competition. We really, we do take a hey, game on approach, and we're focused on what we can do in this particular case to super serve WWE and wrestling fans on our platforms.
Well, that's a fine answer. It really doesn't hold water because of the fact that, I mean, look, okay, they couldn't do anything after August, maybe technically, contractually, because Clash in Paris or any other pay-per-views beforehand would have been still be handled by Peacock under their deal. And the DTC service of ESPN didn't come on until what? September. No, it was in August, right? It did come up in August. So it's been about, I want to say it's been 4 weeks since they launched the service. They could have done something where they could have had the pay-per-view scheduled before college football season began, because at that point in August, they didn't have anything else to go and cover. What, WNBA? Major League Baseball? Which is what, once a week, I think it is? They didn't have much of the schedule. So they could have put it earlier. But it's very ironic that they decided to go ahead and pick a Saturday during college football season, which is not going to be easy for them because they've got a lot of college football they cover anyway. Yet they have to go ahead and deal with this as well. Now, of course, the production value, the production issue is not going to be a problem because that's WWE's team that's going to be doing it. So they provide the feed. But for ESPN, I mean, this deal starts up right away, and yeah, they can hype it as much as they want on ESPN, but college football, pro football is taking priority to any kind of fans of competition or sports. So the competition you're talking about here, it doesn't make any sense because of the fact that, I mean, okay, let's go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt. They didn't care about AEW All Out and where they were putting it. But you're not telling me that WWE officials probably did not kind of encourage the fact that, hey, let's go ahead and put it on this weekend, that weekend that's going on. Let's do it then. Because they could have very well done that, and ESPN wouldn't have been wise to the fact that they were actually about to go and counter-program WWE's actual competition, which they don't consider competition. But regardless of the fact that they are counter-programming AEW All Out, well, it doesn't matter now because AEW All Out moved up in the afternoon. And they've already set precedent before because when WWE tried to counter-program like this beforehand, they moved up. They don't want anything to do with it. They're just going to get out of the way. That's fine. More content, more context that came out of that call was there's no plans to acquire rights to the historical tape library of classic episodes and classic pay-per-views and PLEs, which will still stay with Peacock until the deal expires in March 2026. Kenny indicated that ESPN is more focused on the current PLE deal and building their own library of great events rather than pursuing the back catalog. Well, the quality of that library you're going to be building up right now, starting off with Wrestlepalooza, is going to be a little bit shallow and a little bit hollow, if you see what I'm saying. The quality's not going to be there. I mean, it might look good, but is the context going to be good? wrestling fans like me, we're very skeptical about it. Also asked about a dedicated studio show, similar to NFL Live or First Take. They said there's no commitment at that time, but SportsCenter will be on site in Indianapolis for Wrestlepalooza coverage. They also said that reporters and journalists will have full independence in how they cover WWE, its events, and competitors like AEW. The partnership does not restrict objective reporting. And they're going to be offering wall-to-wall coverage of Wrestlepalooza on the ESPN DTC service, a special on Friday night, or Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock on ESPN2 and on the app. It'll be hosted by Peter Rosenberg and Indiana Pacers basketball star Tyrese Halliburton, all-star player. They'll have SportsCenter from Indianapolis on Friday. ESPN Radio will host a countdown to Wrestlepalooza radio show, and Booker T and Brad Gilmore will host that. There'll be a Road to show, and that'll be hosted by O'Shea Jackson, Ice Cube's son, and TJ Jefferson. And there will be superstar appearances on ESPN programs throughout the week. Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, CM Punk, AJ Lee, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Breaker. And they've already been featured on various programs right now. They also said there might be changes to the schedule, where the ESPN partnership might lead to major scheduling adjustments to align with ESPN's programming needs. Triple H has noted that the event came together quickly and could become a staple, and that ESPN is committing to treating the WWE as a major sports entertainment property with robust promotional efforts and a focus on long-term growth. Okay. Interesting. But I don't know how it's going to do overall in that kind of sense, if it will do as good as people think it's going to. So that's the focus of what happened in that media call. So ESPN's on board, and we'll see how that goes. Now let's move back over to what happened with Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch, CM Punk, AJ Lee, all in the ring together. By the way, once Seth and Becky got into the ring, you're roughly waiting for 3 minutes for them to go and get started talking. Then they move along and they chat. And then we get the interruption by AJ Lee and then CM Punk 3 minutes after. And they come on out. And we're going to go ahead and play the part where the confrontation between CM Punk, AJ Lee, Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins is all together. We're going to go into that part and let's see what happens here, because this is the improv. Now, of course, there's backstory with all of them. Their own individual stories they've had. Okay? We both know that they are married couples. So everybody's aware of that too. That's not the part that I'm worried about. It's about putting this together. Everybody's all hyped up about AJ Lee returning to the company. And now, the real story. Can we build some heat for this match? Because there hasn't been much heat for it. I guess you could say there is, but this is the go-home show, the go-home Raw, leading up to Wrestlepalooza. Now, can these 4 competent veteran wrestlers, this talent, can they put together a good enough story to really build some heat here? Now, yeah, we've seen in the last few weeks, CM Punk was getting slapped in the face, paintbrushed by Becky Lynch regularly, and Seth Rollins was being in the background, standing behind the wife, all of that, and Becky Lynch just acting, over the top, acting a fool, and kind of like giving the big time Bex kind of feel while being very heel-like, while kind of changing up her persona since she joined the Vision. Which, by the way, the Vision, no one else is involved. Braun and Bronson are off to their own thing. Paul Heyman's not even involved in this. So it's just these 4, and they have to make something out of nothing. Okay? Now, of course, the match that we should be caring about would be CM Punk, Seth Rollins, which they haven't really given us that yet. We've seen them in the ring with each other in matches where they were triple threat or in something else, but nothing where they were actually in a match with each other. Oh, well, it was the cage match, I think it was. Other than that, no. It's like Seth Rollins right now is holding over the World Heavyweight title. He is not defending it in favor of this. But of course, we know that the Cody Rhodes during his title run also did not have. It had a time where he was not defending the belt, but he was in some kind of a tag match as well. We know that too. This is what they do. It's kind of a generic, by the numbers storyline that they do. But like I said, let's play the clip here. I'm going to run through all of it. We're going to just break it down together. And the improv and how they try to work this out. I mean, the crowd already is into them anyway. They're completely engaged. House show loop crowd, it doesn't matter. They have them all in the ring. They got all this hype for it. The pop, 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 pop. But now the real matter is, what are they saying to each other? What are they doing to really build tension for this match on Saturday?
Hello, everybody. I am AJ's husband. And I'm not going to waste her time, my time, your time with an overcompensating, long-winded introduction as to who she is. I'll allow it. No explanation needed. It sounds like they know who I am, and it sounds like they came to see her, and they sure as hell know her name.
I'm not much as a CM Punk being the softer kind of character. Like, we've always preferred the surly, straight edge.
I don't know.
Something more.
Who to start with.
It's just too soft.
Who's the team leader here? Who's the man? Let me know. Becky, I'll start with you. Ladies first. I made a career in this company, on this microphone, in this ring, about telling people what I thought of them to their face. I don't need to talk behind your back. I just don't know. I'm overwhelmed at what to say about you two. I mean, look at you goofs.
So we're going to try heat with the attire.
Oh, please, come on. You wouldn't know style if it punched you in the face, you idiots. Come on.
We're going with attire now.
You brag about being the most, famous couple, the greatest wrestling couple, but you guys can't get on the same page, can you? You can't share that spotlight. We had to listen to 2 crappy songs, while I have no problem putting Cult of Personality on the shelf and letting this young lady light it up.
I mean, everything's AJ Lee. No
You
focus
two
on CM Punk,
share
Seth
a brain
Rollins
cell.
whatsoever.
You obviously share a wardrobe, unfortunately. But can you share the spotlight? Or is Saturday just going to be real easy for the two of us?
No.
Are you going to be
whatsoever.
a unified front? Are you going to be a happily married tag team? Or are you going to let your egos get in the way?
Oh, wait. Egos. Shut up. You want to bring up egos. CM Punk wants to talk about egos. Point the finger at us. You are the most selfish human being I have ever met in my entire life.
Show my hot husband some respect! You human incarnation of herpes!
You know what? Thank you for defending my honor. I appreciate that. But look, no, I'm going to do something right now very selfless. It's going to hurt me immensely, and it's going to make all of these people here happy, all right? I'm going to do something very unselfish, and I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give CM Punk credit.
Now, I mean, we're not trying to rewrite storylines, rewrite gimmicks here. This is a pretty simple storyline. Now, let me go back to one match and one similar storyline that trumps this over and over and over again. WrestleMania 33, the lead up to John Cena and Nikki Bella together versus The Miz and Maurice. Now, if you remember me talking back in 2017 about the setup for that match, it was like, okay, so John Cena and The Miz together, and we all panned that particular feud thinking it was not going to be good, but the truth was that was one of the best things they had at WrestleMania 33. Just saying. So let's just play back once again. This was Miz and Maurice dressing up as John Cena and Nikki Bella, and the way they set it up, like you had a storyline right here. The mocking of Total Divas of John Cena at the time, and this was good stuff, and it wasn't that hard for them to put together. I imagine Miz and Maurice probably just like, hey, let's go and go with this idea, and that was enough just to get John Cena and Nikki Bella all pissed off for a pretty fun match.
You wish you would be half the man that my husband is, but you're not. And you know what your problem is? Your ego. Oh, and you know what they say? Bigger the ego, smaller the package. John Cena, respect this.
You just made the biggest mistake of your life.
Hey, Maurice, you mess with my man, I'm gonna break you.
Break your bitch.
Isn't it crazy to think we've been together for over 3 years now?
I am madly in love with the most amazing man that has ever stepped foot on this earth, and I couldn't be happier.
I love
Context.
you, and I love you more than I've loved anyone in my entire life.
Nikki, I love you.
I love me too.
Love, should you do a toast before we sip?
Before we do, these are the house rules.
Rule number 11 of John Cena's house rules.
House rule. If you guys are going to be up late, please text me or tell me.
Rule number 8 of John Cena's house rules. Never ask me to advance your career when the cameras are rolling. Tisk, tisk.
Just get replaced.
John, I need to see some type of commitment that makes me feel and believe like you'll always be there for me.
Where I'm at in my life, I truly believe that I don't want to be married and I don't want to have kids.
John Cena, will you marry me?
I'm not going to marry you because I don't love you. I only love myself.
John.
I love you.
I only love myself.
Nikki and John's plastic, fabricated lives spits on every real relationship. I spend hour after hour, day after day with this woman because I love her.
You are the best.
John Cena is jealous of me.
He is jealous of my relationship, jealous of all the talent that I possess.
Nikki Bella is jealous of me because I have this, which she'll never have.
And Nikki Bella will never get one of those
Because John Cena only loves himself.
You two talk and talk and talk and talk, and you don't even listen to yourselves, because if you did, you would realize just how ridiculous you sound. Mike is the guy that screams at the top of his lungs.
Maurice and I have been the it couple in the WWE.
I'm just happy to stand alongside the woman I love and keep pushing forward doing exactly what I love. And you want to knock Nicole for not having kids? How long y'all been married? How many kids you got? Let me just crunch the numbers real quick. None. What, you firing blanks there, sport?
Brother, the thing is, there's a lot of truth at the time behind all this, but the animosity was played up really well. And again, John Cena and The Miz were always good at, kind of playing at odds with each other. But this storyline, to add the women to it, worked really well. They used Total Divas. They used Talking Smack. They used, all of it. And incorporated it throughout this whole storyline. And look at that. In 3 minutes, we get a storyline that has so much heat, so much animosity, and real barbs to throw at each other to really stick this home. Let me finish the rest of this promo, and then we're going to go back to the promo with CM Punk, AJ, Seth, and Becky. We'll go back to that.
nothing real about them. Everything they do is to elevate their brand.
You two are fake-ass, see-through, jealous haters.
Nikki and John's fabricated lives.
You're not the it couple.
Spits on every real relationship.
You're the it couple.
And it stops now.
At WrestleMania, we are going to destroy you.
We're going to make sure.
You want to talk tough?
WrestleMania is your curtain call.
You better be tough.
Total Bellas, Total Divas, all the stuff they were doing at the time. And you know what? The match culminated in something great. I mean, Wrestlepalooza is not going to be as big as WrestleMania. They're not trying to do that. But still, that's just one match they did. And it wasn't that long ago. It was 8 years ago. You could have just copied that storyline in some way. But they can't even do that. Instead, we get more of this.
This is the best decision you have ever made in your entire life. In your personal life. You can hate me all you want. I'm still the world heavyweight champion.
They're really not doing anything to really go at each other. Nothing
Best
sharp.
decision you ever made in your personal life. As far as business is concerned, inserting her into this is a mistake that you will regret for the rest of your days.
No, sweet cheeks. That mistake was yours. Because I wouldn't even be here if you hadn't used your own wife as a human shield.
That is not what happened.
You're literally standing right behind me.
Nobody believed you were going to come back, okay? Okay, nobody expected you to come back. I didn't expect you to come back. He didn't expect you to come back. These people didn't expect you to come back, okay? What's it been? What's it been? What, 10 years? 10 years you were gone? I couldn't believe it, but what I really can't believe is how irresponsible of you, CM Punk. How irresponsible. I mean, you say it yourself. You don't care about anybody. He said it, you're selfish. You say it, okay, you only care about 3 things, okay? You care about CM Punk. You care about my husband's championship.
That you will never have.
And in fairness to you, you care about AJ Lee. And AJ, I read your book, I have some notes, but last week you talked about how you've healed mentally, but how are you feeling physically? Because in your book, you talk extensively about the damage that was done to your neck. How's that feeling right now, huh?
And the thing is, I mean, they are stretching for it. So now we're going to get the neck injury, which if there was something that was going to be about the neck injury, we could have had something done physically to where there was an attack. And during the attack that AJ Lee had at Becky Lynch, she could have had something where she was holding her neck. But we're not we can't do that. No, we have to go and talk it out in storyline. Remember the part where we had Naomi that, you know, she had broken into Bianca Belair's house, right, in Tennessee? And I'm like, we couldn't have done something where we could have had that there. But again, I'm asking for too much here. I mean, of course, the juvenile delusional fandom out there, they're going to be like, shut up, King of Podcasts. You don't know what you're talking about. Fuck off. All right, fine. But I'm just making my point here. So she goes on, then she says the shake a bitch line, right? And then more into this, and I'm like, all right, this has been now, 8 minutes of promo time? We got a couple of shots on attire, a couple of shots of CM Punk being selfish. There's no heat in 8 minutes for this promo. Nothing. This is 14 minutes in. Nothing so far.
Shut up!
What you should be worried about is the fact that not even I know what I'm going to do next. Because you're right. I am erratic. Yeah, I've been known to make a rash decision. I'm a Puerto Rican from New Jersey. Sometimes I shank a chick.
So we're going to play the crazy AJ thing that we haven't done in 10 years. No reference to it prior to this now.
Can't help it.
Right.
But Seth, you made a plan, and you used your wife as a backup plan. But you cannot plan for something you can't predict.
Improv. This is all improv. And they're kind of like letting the crowd do the thing.
You don't think I can handle you?
They're trying to dig to where to go to this. Like, where do you get to the ending of this here?
Seth Rollins, multi-time world champion, can't handle you.
Does anybody tell them anything of what to say when they go out here? They're not being told anything.
Listen, little girl. You're not wrong. I may not be able to predict you, but your husband, I can read him like a book. And let me tell you something you may not know or want to believe about your husband. He has a nasty habit of leaving when things let him down. So this Saturday, when my wife rips you into shreds, you better hope to God that he doesn't leave you too.
Oh, a swift response from AJ.
And they decided to use the crazy part of AJ that was the character she had before, which doesn't make any sense about her coming back from her mental health journey.
I never put my hands
doesn't make any sense.
on a lady. Thankfully.
I'm not discrediting, I'm not putting her down about that. I'm just saying, why are we using the crazy gimmick now? And now Becky Lynch is not going to go attack AJ Lee, so there we go. And then they're fighting, and that's how they're going to end the segment. All right, look. I mean, there's so much noise going on with this promo, and there's no signal. I mean, really, there's no tension at all building up to the match. So we're going to just get match. We get improv, and we get match. That is the formula right now of what WWE is giving us right now, each and every week, which is why the television shows are not watchable all the way through. You can catch clips, even the clips right here, 21 minutes, 22 minutes right now, that the WWE put out here for this particular clip. Yeah, hey man, 1.5 million views. People watched, I guess. I'd love to know what the watch time is, but people are watching there. So the Disco Infernos of the world say, well, that's where people are watching their audience, right? Well, what about the audience on Netflix? What about that? So I want to go through some of the things that I bookmarked on X this week to bring up that I thought would be really important. Tony Storm actually got quite a bit of notice that I got from all the posts on X this week. She spoke with the Sandman Pod, and I don't know if I put this out there yet, but she says that it's great that WWE does counter-program AEW. Quote, I think it's great. Come on, fight me. Be a bit weird of them as a large corporation just do nothing. it would be a silly business decision not to. Of course they are. Of course they will. It's their job. And then when it came to WrestleMania moving to Saudi Arabia, which we talked about on the podcast when I did it on Sunday night, and I put it up Monday morning. Bully Ray on the Busted Open podcast makes the point about AEW should be doing a large size event for North America while WrestleMania is in Saudi Arabia.
The opportunity for Tony Khan during WrestleMania of 2027 to put on an event in the United States, WrestleMania-esque, for the people here, for the WrestleCon to piggyback off of, for the independent wrestling companies to piggyback off of. It's right there in front of him, man.
And we don't need that. The thing is that AEW doesn't need to go ahead and work into anything that has to involve competing against WWE. They don't have to do that. Because they're very comfortable right now in just being where they are at the moment in this certain setup. They don't really need any of that. That's what they're actually saying to themselves. And I agree with it. No need to go into that route. Not at all. But of course, there's going to be those out there that think, well, AEW should just go ahead and start going into the Monday Night Wars and going into something where they go head to head. For whatever reason, some bookers always thought, let's go head to head. And listen, that's an Eric Bischoff thing that happened. Every time Eric Bischoff was involved, you would see, let's do head to head. In WCW, it first worked, but obviously had a great storyline in NWO that made it possible. But then also it was a different time on Monday nights. And then we move along in the TNA. Oh, let's move the Monday nights again. And Dixie Carter went along with it, and it didn't work out either. So as the card has, we coming up right now this weekend, let's just make sure we make the point of this, is that right off the bat, your featured matches at Wrestlepalooza is Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre. And then John Cena, Brock Lesnar. And of course, Seth, Becky, CM Punk, AJ Lee. Io Sky, Stephanie Vaquer, Women's World Title. And then Usos versus Breakker and Reed. That is your setup for WrestlePalooza. 5-match card. That's how they always do these big pay-per-views. If it's not a 2-night show, they'll just do 5 matches. And it looks like they just do 5 matches all the time anyway, right? Just it. 5 matches on a card. Somebody puts out on a post and makes the point of, quote, they relegated Rhea Ripley, one of the biggest wrestlers on the planet, to be a backstage segment merchant because Triple H has no idea how to use her when she's not involved in the world title picture. You know, there's also one comment I got on my YouTube feed. I should bring that up here and bring that up to discussion. And this comes from Stay Woke Folks 93. 2027 will be the year WWE fans should keep their eyes open because that is the year TKO Holdings is cashing out, getting out of professional wrestling business. If Saudi Arabia is willing to pony up nearly $300 million for Mania, no telling what they are willing to throw at it to buy it. I mean, it's a possibility, but the broadcast deals have to stay in play to keep the value of the company. So TKO will probably have to go through another run of the broadcast deals, either renewals or another place to go for Saudi Arabia to take it on. Because the broadcasting is what the value is of the company right now. The valuation of the company is based on that. Let's make that clear too. Because the value is not on the talent. The value is on the brand and what they're able to get from the brand. Thomas Tony Storm also talked to this man on the podcast saying that when I'm done, you'll never see me in any other company. Where would I go? What would I do? I'm on a long deal for AEW. WWE is a machine, and I don't fit in with their whole shtick. Tony Schiavone takes to critics on his program about AEW supposedly struggling to have a strong card for All Out this weekend, and here's what he said.
So the critics are saying that we weren't going to have a good card?
Well, they said with 3 of your top guys out, I mean, how can you possibly carry on? Well, the answer is have about 14 top guys.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we get one of those critics on here and have them book a card for us? As we have them book a card, have them go fuck themselves too.
So that's from the What Happened When podcast. Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson take credit for that. Give them the credit on that. And as for the card that AEW is going to have this weekend, you have Hangman Adam Page versus Kyle Fletcher. By the way, the predictions I'll give right now for WrestlePalooza, Cody will beat McIntyre Cena will beat Lesnar. It'll be CM Punk AJ Lee over Seth and Becky. Io Sky will retain the Women's World title. And Breaker and Reed will beat the Usos. I don't expect nothing much more after that. Not really. If they get somebody out there to go and build a pop, somebody returns, we don't know, maybe, I don't know, something. But I don't expect any title changes. Not on this pay-per-view. No, I don't think it's the time. I don't think they're going to do it. They're definitely not much into doing... And I'm trying to think about the fact that really don't do a lot of title changes on pay-per-views. They like to do them on television. It's kind of like that, isn't it? It feels like that anyway. Also announcing reports that ESPN is confirming that there's a large number of cable subscribers that will not have to have access to WrestleMania without additional payment. So major distributors like Comcast and YouTube TV, which combine for over 20 million subscribers, are still on the outside looking in when it comes to having full access to the exclusive live programming behind the new ESPN app. So here's what has been said. That if asked if ESPN would offer some sort of limited accessibility for pay TV subscribers that don't currently have access to ESPN Unlimited, the premium app tier that will house Wrestlepalooza, JT Lasker in that call said no. That WWE fans who get ESPN through distributors like Comcast, YouTube, TV, Cox, Lean TV, and others will, in essence, need to double pay for ESPN if they want access to the event. They have to buy the premium package. They said the accessibility issue will not last long. The vast majority of distributors whose subscribers aren't currently able to authenticate into ESPN Unlimited will be able to do by year's end. So, timeline, quite frankly, will be worst case scenario because ESPN and Disney have deals expire with Google and Comcast as soon as next month. And the network and distribution partners want to avoid blackouts with those platforms. The deals need to come to fruition much sooner than the end of the calendar year. So right now, ESPN and some of the audience, you're going to have to really check to see if you have access to the pay-per-views because most likely you're not getting it unless you have the ESPN app flat out. ESPN says it's doing its best to communicate to pay TV subscribers that currently have access to ESPN Unlimited. Currently, that is Charter, Verizon, and DirecTV customers. They will be able to watch Wrestlepalooza free of charge this Saturday. But the company says it's also not planning to outreach any customers that won't have access to the event, which will be the very same customers that will be the most upset and the most confused. And also announcing is already repeating what I said earlier, that the hasty rollout for the new app to align with football season, because that was the plan. The ESPN app was supposed to come out before football season started. And this WWE deal came together much sooner than anticipated. It's all coming to a head. The network was not ready to have app-exclusive live programming this quickly before it could finalize distribution deals with the several key partners. The result, there will be a large group of wrestling fans that are guaranteed to be angry come Saturday evening. It's not ideal, but ESPN is going forward anyway. They'll just have to hope WWE fans are willing to forgive and forget once the distribution deals are sorted up and everyone can watch as intended. So expect this weekend, there will be some people pissed off that they can't watch WrestleMania unless you listen to Stephanie McMahon and go get a VPN and watch on Netflix, right? So keep that in mind. That's going to be something that is very interesting. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But that we're going to hear some pissed off people on X. No doubt that they're not going to be able to watch Wrestlepalooza because the ESPN and the way they have it set up might not work well for them in that respect. Now, they were asked about the Brock Lesnar situation. Also, Matt Kenny was asked in that media call. I'm going to bring that up as well here. That they did talk about Brock Lesnar and that the relationship with the WWE is in such where they have creative control. I think it's important to provide some context here. We're distributors of the events. They retain creative control, which, by the way, we're fine with because they have built incredible business for a long period of time. I don't need to be opining on what a script should be to WWE. We're excited about what they do, how they do it, and can't wait for Saturday. So that's what was also said as well. Other announcements, Nick Khan is announcing that in Italy next year, 2026, another pay-per-view will be going there, according to Sports Business. There we go. More pay-per-views going away from North America. Do you see the ongoing trend here with TKO? What they're doing? A larger, higher barrier to entry for ESPN than people thought. That's one thing. Then you have this Wrestlepalooza event that, they're trying to rush this out there to counter program against AEW. Meanwhile, they're pitting themselves against college football this weekend. Not a smart move. And then the fact that you have Saudi Arabia that's going to be hosting WrestleMania. And then on top of the fact that Saudi Arabia will be hosting the Royal Rumble in 2026, there will be a pay-per-view in Italy that will be hosted in 2026. So, I mean, I want to see what the fan base thinks. Are you really happy with all these changes? Is it good to you? I don't know. We'll find out and what you think about it soon enough. And I love that on the Ariel Helwani show, Toni Storm is also on promoting for AEW All Out. And she was asked about Mariah May, now known as Blake Monroe. And look at how she handled this. In storyline, in character.
You know, we've all had relationships like Mariah, haven't we? That end in broken glass, fist fights, bloody kisses. What can I say about Mariah? God, we're just... she's the single most evil, cold-hearted bitch I've ever met in my life. I can honestly say that. And I'm glad that I've banished her. I really did compromise her to a permanent end. But I'm a big fan of that Blake Monroe.
Okay. Do you keep tabs on what she's doing?
I've seen a bit, but I don't like study it religiously.
Okay.
It's wonderful. Yes, of course it's positive. She's gone. She's not here anymore.
So I actually like that she's standing character for that. Again, these are the things I really enjoy altogether. And one other comment being put out there earlier today where somebody was complaining about the fact of one of the major voices to the juvenile delusional fandom of my fellow podcast wrestling brethren. I've brought up before. I don't mention by name, but there was a comment that was put out there. He did respond to it. Quote unquote, considering all I see is the complaining about AEW that you post and not the same about complaining about the WWE. Your point is right, but you're always so skewed towards AEW and how they should die off. I can't trust if you actually said this. This is from a previous comment from before. And then he writes and says, considering all you see, quote, I've spent weeks complaining about the current WWE product, including the narrative you're trying to push that I don't say the same thing about WWE being predictable, citing your example of Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre. Here's a clue. If you watch the effing content, you're thinking, I am hating AEW will very quickly disappear. This is a fabrication only pushed by their fan base because they don't know what real criticism looks like. So again, even the biggest loyalists of WWE that are out there, you know, they have to defend, they're trying to defend the Inferior Improv and match. I'm really surprised there were so many people now in the wrestling ether here that might not listen to this program, or maybe listen to other programs out there, but maybe you catch this program once in a while. And I'm still amazed that there's all this animosity out there towards everybody else. Bashing at AEW, bashing at other companies, you know, enjoying the fact that AAA, you have the change of titles now, where eventually Natalya will become Reina de la Reinas, and now Dominic is the new AAA Mega Champion. We're not talking much about that. We're not talking much about what TNA now is going to be doing a supposed invasion angle with NXT. Because during the NXT Homecoming, which got 730,000 viewers for CW, a good pop for a rating for a week. And, you know, they brought some of the mystique back. Lord Steven Regal, or William Regal, of course, he has to be called over there. He gets to say War Games, right? And stuff like that. The thing is that, you know, you have TNA stars feigning outrage in order to create an invasion. Not an invasion on television. No. We're going to do it on social media. Everything's backwards and the other way around. But I think I've done a pretty good job now, as I finish the show off tonight, of identifying exactly what WWE is. It's two things right now. So say it with me. It's Inferior Improv and match. Now, as for All Out, Hangman Adam Page will retain the world title. I'll take Darby Allin on the coffin match. I'll take Toni Storm to retain the women's world title. Mercedes Renee will retain the TBS title. I'll take FTR over Cope and Cage. And we'll leave it like that. Come back for another Wrestling podcast for all those pay-per-views. We'll do a post show right here because wrestling needs us.